This is a new intermittent chapter, the chapter where I tell particular details and facts about the world. This chapter holds specific stuff that will be mostly strong guys rules on how some of the stuff from the game world works exactly. The main part tutorial stage is preparing to get the level of technology by conquering continent, relatively around the size of Australia, or the US mainland. Oh yeah. Another thing about the tutorial stage is that there is around 10 stages of technology. First is the medieval stage. This is the stage where you don't have a suit system, you don't have anything other than swords, and a bit of magic. And then there is the development stage where you start developing things like early form of gunpowder, early better armor, and technology, and metal making. Then after that is the early steampunk stage where you start having more developed gunpowder tools, and you start having early forms of steam powder, highly developed navy, and ships if you're close enough to the coast, or a major river lake. Then there is steam park, or steam age technology, which is where you get trains, machine guns, early cars, sewer systems, health standards, something like germs exist. Then there is the early World War I stage where you form vaccines, telecommunications like telegram, or starting now telephones. You also get early forms of air travel, mostly experimental. After that there is the World War II stage where you develop modernish cars, tanks, airplanes, and potentially nuclear bombs. Next stage, Cold War level technology start easily having more better than air travel technology, nuclear bombs definitely at this point, and you start having space travel capabilities, mostly experimental. 90s tech, you start having internet. Then there's 2020s tech where you start getting LLMs and also smartphones. Then magic, nuclear tech where you start using magic as a source of energy. You get advanced AI, high level automation, but not 100% like the reality in the universe. Advance space travel and space weapon technologies, and you kind of get, I think I said most if not all of the 10 stages. But when you conquer the entire continent, which is usually around the point of 2020 tech, you are usually able to survive as you have a large enough military to justify an equal battlefield long enough for you to adapt on public servers or private servers, which then at that point is to go in constant war. Trade to gain more power against actual players who are also trying to play you constantly, until you win the entire map against all the new players, all the old players, and the game resets. But usually the game does not reset, it does. Most kings cannot expand fast enough in order to conquer every kingdom in the public server. The expansion rate is just too fast as public servers to expand their space for new players joining in, and AI kingdoms that pop up at a constant rate, private servers with less new players joining and have more completion, and then resetting rates. But it's still not 100% as it's not ready to exactly conquer everything but to be a king, gaining ever more land, or losing ever more land, which is the fate of most kings. They reach a public or private server as again it's only win or lose, and they can only be one winner.
Hello, everyone. Well, you finished that little bit of story. So let me just say a few stuff to basically fill out this video. I will get to part 4. Oh, chapter 4 of story 1. I did not think that I was going to make so many spin-offs, because at this point I had made now basically four story type chapter for my SCP content. And I also made another story where it's on my main channel of kingdom building content. So I am doing a lot of story creating. So I'm going to eventually get on with the story 1, but there will be a massive likely skip. There will be a massive likely delay between story 1 and story 2. Because first I gotta get the last chapter out, which might be next week. And we'll also have its own little surprises. I will try to make a few surprises depending on which holiday. Wink wink. Might be Thanksgiving. on the Pacific storyline, which at the end, well, I'll give you a little hint. To recap the entire story, if you know, at the beginning and end is a new human, basically part human, part android body, individual in the future, the 22nd century or something like that. So using the power of narration, you see his life over time. You first find him in a space station in the orbit of Neptune. Then you also find him then you also find him on Venus playing with his niece. Then you also find him eventually going to have a kid. It was going to be a whole little story on there, but I decided to skip it over time. Then you also experience the Lonely Recovering arc, which was just him doing general odd jobs surrounding solar system, which was going to be essentially a bit of a more like arc of it's for recovery, because we skipped over a lot of time between him and his new wife. And now at this fourth part, I'll give a general overview of the story. It will be a story of essentially him and his new woman. I think will be called Madam. Basically, perfect woman. And basically that he would love forever. The entire story will be likely him introducing family members to her, and also at the end, fusing her and his mind together into a giant consciousness ball. It's a little bit complicated, but essentially, they both decided to become full AI intelligences, because before they used to have physical brains. Now they decided to fully transfer their consciousness into computer hardware. And after a while, they also decided to fuse themselves together as an eternal bond. And also joined a kind of spiritual cult-like thing with other people too. It's a kind of like a spiritual religious movement for AI, artificial intelligences, and consciousness that were first biological but also transferred into machines. It's kind of like a spiritual religious group. I'll say that. And at the end, it'll be kind of like, well, I'll let you guess. And also, at the end of this, I'll probably put another story, because I thought this was going to film out in enough time. But similarly, I'm making stories way too short.
Fred, so Minister of Trade, I want to see this year's economic figures. Minister of Trade, of course, King, our reports are this. Fred, well, this seems to be a good improved for me from last year. The government has made around 22,000 gold more than we did last year. It went up to 150,000 gold to 172,000 gold, working pretty decently wealthy. Executive Minister of War, well, Your Highness, all these saved up gold will be useless. Can't secure our borders. Fred, okay, you're being really disrespectful, so what is it now? You only beat disrespectful during crisis. Executive Minister of War, Your Highness, I've been finding espionage reports with our newer recruits. I suspect that there might be a possible sabotage attack on our weapon supplies. Fred, why would they do that? We have no potential aggressive enemies near us. Executive Minister of War, I do not know why. Narrator, the explanation why the city of Moonlight are split between two facts. Fact, where the king stands are which is the sector of peace to grow stronger in the fact of war under the Minister of Defense, which has control of majority of the noble council. Each side are on equal standing of each other, having a great freeze on any drastic move in action other than maintaining normal operations. A general of the armies is seduced by enchant from another nation to attack Fred's kingdom by larger kingdom, who wants both of these kingdoms to attack and fight each other, bring to a weaker kingdom. Likely Fred's land for being easier to invade, but what both kingdoms do now is that he has over 1,000 more soldiers than they think, and his technological weapons are much more advanced than they think. Fred, Executive Minister of War, this little terrorist plot happened. I think I know what this is going to be, and we're going to have a new piece of territory. Narrator, that the terroristic plot happens, a bomb explodes their own weapons factory, injuring 200 while killing 15, including 5 civilians. Fred, while screaming in the microphone, this dare insult will be paid by blood. I found the actor of this plot, and we will kill every single soldier, and loot and burn that city to the ground. Imperial citizens, yes? The war happens as a force of 5,000 soldiers, including 500 magical soldiers by the best talent around the subcontinent with guns, mustard gas, and bombs. Fred, it's time, attack, kill. Imperial soldiers, yes? General, the men are burning our western wall. Fred, reinforcement. Narrator, a little pre-war battle knowledge. They are currently attacking the kingdom, main capital city, which is on top of a hill, surrounded by jacketed rocks dug up and made into sharp boulders to keep an overwhelming army of horsemen from invading their army toils. Through the deadly battlefield using artillery and mustard gas using their guns, they slowly gain ground as they end up slaughtering their enemy with a convenient advantage. Their 5,000 soldiers were able to only take around 2,000 losses, and the enemy army lost nearly all of their men, around 2,568 of them, most of the rest of the 3,000 killed to give them a mercy death from the scars that the mustard gas would give them, and they won the war. Fred, kill the rest of them. Imperial soldier, but they surrendered, sir? Fred, what we did to them, look soldier, we scarred their lungs, they will be disabled for the rest of their lives. It's best for them, and their families say that they were just result of war. So are you going to do it, or are you going to disobey the command of your superior? Imperial soldier, okay? Narrator, with that last line, they won the city. The spoils of victory made the pain of such a loss to their army a slight slick feeling of winning, of success, even in the point of incredible tragedy.